Hello and welcome back to the Bird's Eye View podcast. We are here on Friday, January 17th. I'm your host, Zach Worden, joined as always by Jori Negin-Shecter. And we're super excited today to be joined by a very special guest. It is Blue Jays pitching prospect, Carson Pierce. Carson, thanks so much for taking the time to do this, man.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, really looking forward to get into this conversation. Obviously, you're coming off a great year. Unfortunate ending with you having to undergo Tommy John surgery. But before we kind of get into that, I mean, I know you're in Dunedin right now, kind of traveling there over the past couple days. How is the complex and how's the Florida weather?
Florida weather's been nice compared to Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma, it was before I left, it was in like the low 20s,
Yeah.
whatever around there. So it's nice to get out here. It's still a little chilly, but today's been perfect. It's like mid 60s.
It looks
Uh,
beautiful out there. It
oh
looks
yeah,
like gorgeous.
it's been a great day. It's a little chilly in the mornings, but it's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of guess with you kind of getting there, what are your days kind of been looking like recently, in Florida now as you're getting geared up for spring training here?
So usually it's like I kind of start like rehabbing around 8 in the morning. So I'll get there around like 7:15, eat breakfast, kind of chill out till rehab. And then it's kind of like rehab. There's like two parts of rehab. So like the first part, like I'll do my rehab stuff, then I'll go like run and lift. And then after I get done with that, I'll do my second part of rehab. And then that's pretty much the whole day. And that's probably around 8 to 11:30 most days. Yeah.
Very nice. And then I mean, I guess kind of, after that, you kind of have the rest of the day to yourself. What have you been getting up to in and around the complex there?
I haven't been up to much. I mean, I need to figure out, find a hobby, maybe go fishing or something. I'm not a big fisherman, but uh, it's kind of fun to do sometimes. Might have to, it's better than being cooped up in the hotel. But I know we're about to we're building like a kind of housing complex or like hotel sort of thing. I know that's supposed to be done around spring training, and it's like 5 minutes from the beach, so that would be really cool once we're in there.
I know, obviously not spring training quite yet, but have you had the chance to run into anybody while you've been down there?
Yeah, I mean there was quite a few people here. There's like an early, not an early camp going on. It's some other camp, I guess, to check on people, but there's probably 20, 30 guys up there. I mean, there's like 10, 15 of us in rehab that I've been rehabbing since last year with. But no, yeah, there's quite a few guys. I wasn't really expecting that many people up there.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we can kind of get into last season and maybe we can start at the end. Just obviously, that's kind of where we're leading into right now with the Tommy John and kind of the rehab from that. I'm wondering if you could walk us through what it's been like for you to kind of go through that process and maybe give us a little bit of an update of where you're at right now.
Yeah, so I want to say I hurt my elbow. It was like August-ish. It was like a month before the season. Yeah, before the season. It kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, I was definitely like really nervous going into getting surgery. I've never really had surgery, but everything went fine. Like I used the team doctor that like everyone else used and recommended. So I was pretty confident going into it. So they took the ligament from my knee and they put in my elbow. And that was the worst part, like getting around on one leg pretty much. Like I could barely bend it for like it took like a week or two to be able to actually like I guess sustain weight on it for a good
Yeah.
amount of time.
No kidding.
But after that my leg was completely fine. Like I started rehabbing that and working it out and I've had no problems with it. And honestly, for the most part, like the elbow, it's been pretty fine. Like definitely like wearing the brace for the first 6 weeks definitely just sucks, just staying in
Yeah.
like one spot. But I really haven't had any like pains or anything. Like I get some aches here and there, some like cracks and pops, but like nothing like serious. And I don't know. I've been surprised how smoothly it's gone. Like no like setbacks. Oh, excuse me. But I know next week or the week after, I start kind of throwing med balls and stuff. I'm about 20-ish weeks out. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to start doing something a little more similar to throwing.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
I bet it's awesome to hear that everything's gone well and no setbacks. I mean, as far as the timeline goes, what you mentioned that you're going to be back to throwing medicine balls there. What does the timeline kind of look like for you? To kind of get back on a mound and when you're anticipating kind of potentially getting to that step.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure. Like I have a little sheet that kind of breaks it all down, but I want to say throwing starts week. Don't quote me on this, but like week or month, maybe 6 or 7, maybe that's Pios. But then
Okay.
it's like 6 more months of like it's 3 months of throwing, then like 3 more months of like mound work,
Yeah, for sure.
and then it's like you're pretty good to go from there. But for me, that won't be till like August, so like I'll have a month before the season ends. And so, I mean, I kind of told them like honestly, like it doesn't hurt me if I don't get that month to pitch. Like I'd rather be able to kind of take it slower, maybe rehab a bit more for the next 3, 4 months, and then I'll be like good to go for the next year completely. I just don't see a point of only throwing like for a month or two or a
No, for
month.
sure. For sure. But that's still really, I think that's like particularly mature, right? To have that recognition as well and to recognize that it's a long-term game for you, right? But I also would be curious because you talked a lot about how you're feeling kind of physically, mentally. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say I've ever had Tommy John. I've had the opportunity to read Jeff Passan's book recently about Tommy John, and I know that even as much as it's a physical recovery, it's a mental process too, right? So mentally, how have you felt as this process has moved along?
It's been pretty good. Like definitely during the off season when I was home, like I'd my PT was also like he worked in the same place as I like go to for pitching and stuff. So it did kind of suck like every day, like seeing people throw and you're like, oh, I want to do that. But honestly, like I haven't been too like mentally like down on myself or like feeling bad. Like I know it's kind of a long road. The only thing that like I guess what I like to do personally, like I hate doing the same like set of stuff like for a like long period of time. Like, I kind of like to keep moving, like keep developing. But with Tommy John, you kind of got to take it like a couple months at a time, and then you move over to something else. But like in the end, like I'm feeling pretty good.
That's good to hear. That's definitely encouraging, right? And I'm sure also what's been a factor for you, like supports just in general, right? I mean, even beyond just the Blue Jays, but even family and so forth. Have you felt that you've had a lot of support?
Oh yeah, for sure, and it helps too. I mean, I'm not the only one with TJ. Like in that training room. So like we're all kind of buds. Like we all talk and stuff, and it's especially nice because I think I'm like the last one to get TJ. So like if I feel some, if I'm like hurting somewhere, I can kind of just ask them like, "Oh, did you feel this like during this like time of your rehab?" And if they're like, "Yeah," like it's no big deal. Like it just kind of helps knowing like having people ahead of you to I guess make sure you're kind of sticking the right path, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. I mean, I know obviously rough year for that kind of the Tommy John group and few guys who did need to go through it in the minor league system and everything like that. But yeah, really cool that you guys are able to bounce off each other and kind of support each other through that. But I don't want to dwell on the Tommy John. I want to talk about you and the season that you had because it was amazing kind of the way that you developed last year and got yourself from Dunedin to Vancouver, where you just absolutely absolutely shoved after you got north of the border. Kind of looking at it, I mean, looking at, from like Baseball America, having you as one of the highest velo risers in the minor leagues, going from, like being able to increase your fastball velocity. Obviously, your changeup is incredible, like an airbender kind of Devin Williams style pitch. So I want to get into your season on the mound and kind of what that was like for you. Yeah, I guess we can kind of start in Dunedin. I mean, what was kind of your focus coming into last year as far as, your approach to the season and what you were hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, so I'll even take it back. Like my first year coming, like I guess signing to the Blue Jays, like I was really, really like a sidearm pitcher. And that's not who I was like at all before, but I've been trying to find my regular arm slot. Like we've been playing with it a bunch. But after that season, I went to like low three quarters, which is like much more my arm slot. So like my velo jumped like right away. Like, I gained like 4 or 5 miles an hour, which helped. But I guess my main focus when I was in Dunedin, it was just like more kind of mindset focus. Like you're just here still playing baseball. Like don't make it too big. And honestly, like I think a main part was, yeah, definitely like don't make it too big. Like stay within yourself and just keep. I'm more of kind of level headed dude, like calm. Like I know a lot of people are like angry when they pitch, but that's not me. But I think my main goal was just to kind of compete against the hitter. Like who cares where they hit it, what they hit, and just kind of limit walks and live in the strike zone for the most part.
You've kind of touched on it here a little bit, but I'd be curious just to hear you kind of describe yourself as a pitcher. How would you, you know, explain yourself to someone that's maybe never seen you pitched or never seen the highlights and so forth? How would you explain your plan of attack and everything around the way that you pitch?
I'd say as a pitcher, like I don't want to be like I don't care, but that's kind of like an attitude, I guess. It's like whatever happens, happens. Like get to the next pitch. I'm pretty really I like I'll let the catcher call most of the game unless I see some or just have a feeling. But for the most part, like catchers calling the game, and I'll shake here and there. But I guess I'm pretty passive. Like I just kind of believe in what the catcher calls or the coaches think, and I just throw what they give me and do with full confidence, honestly.
Let's talk about the changeup a little bit because obviously, the pitch that you throw most often, like we mentioned, air bender type thing. I don't know if you call it a changeup or a screwball or kind of what you call it, but how is that something that you've kind of always been able to do to get like that extra movement on that pitch? And if not, kind of how did you learn to
Uh,
develop that?
yeah, so in high school, like I started throwing a changeup. I swear I spiked it 95% of the time. And then one day in junior college, I kind of found it and like no one could hit it. And then it kind of progressively got better. Like I started having more feel with it, just like gripping the ball wise or like more pronating. And now, like, I feel like last year was like the best I've had the control and confidence in it. Like, I'm like a super pronator guy. Like, I can just pronate whatever, like, however much. So that really helps. Like, I know a lot of people can't do that. So it makes it a bit tough to throw like a change up like that. But me, I just kind of rip it and pronate like no other. But yeah, it's just constantly gotten better over the years. Just kind of working with pitching coaches and just figuring stuff out on my own.
Is that your favorite pitch to throw? Is there any better feeling for you than getting a guy to look silly on it?
Oh, for sure. That's my favorite pitch. Like it's no doubt.
I gotta ask, we kind of talk about like being a super pronator. What is your kind of focus as you throw it? I mean, is as you kind of come through with that, like where is kind of the spot in your release that you're kind of looking to get that extra pronation?
So like when I hold my changeup, like I literally kind of like hold it like this. Like I'm not like stiff. I'm like, and then I just let my arm just kind of
Yeah.
like super loose, just let it flow. And then I guess like towards the end, I'll like really like just
Yeah.
turn on it. But I mean, yeah, it's just kind of been a feeling thing. I've just kind of felt it out there, and that's where it's come.
That's awesome. Really cool. I mean, obviously, you see the videos of it and it's just kind of ridiculous to watch. But I do want to ask kind of about some of your other pitches, right? Like, I mean, the fastball, sinker, slider. I mean, how is kind of the development of those come along with you as you've progressed through pro ball?
So the fastball, we are still like working on it. It's pretty flat pitch. Like I don't throw it much. I think like usually I throw like 4 times a game, and it'll be like kind of up in the zone ish. Like that's the only way I can get a like kind of get away with that. So we've been working on getting it more like have vertical movement to it, but we haven't really found much success. There'll be days where like it'll be there, and then some days it's just not even close. It's more like a sinker, which I guess isn't it's better than being flat. But the sinker, um, yeah, same thing kind of with the changeup. Like I kind of just played around with the grip I almost made up. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but like I just throw it to like almost like lefties and then throw a regular fastball to righties or something like that. And then I've noticed like on a track, man, like I've seen like the movement profile of it, and that's kind of been my main fastball. Um, yeah, I mean that I throw that probably second most to my changeup. The big key there, we're just trying to, me personally, I just want kind of more velo behind it and maybe a little more like make it a consistent like movement profile pitch. Then I have two more pitches, the sweeper slider, whatever you call it. That's come a long way since my first year of pro ball. That was kind of my big focus going into the off season. Um, it's improved a ton. Like my other pitches, I just kind of want it with a little more velo, like
Yeah.
82, something like that. It was kind of high 70s. And then when I was in Vancouver, we kind of played around with the cutter.
Okay.
It was iffy, very iffy pitch. Sometimes it just wouldn't cut, and then sometimes it'd cut a little bit, which is all we want. But I think the main focus was to have some kind of go into a lefty with a bit more velo behind it compared to a sweeper.
For
But I'm
sure.
kind of I'm looking forward to like kind of throwing that maybe when I get healthy again. It'll be a good pitch to learn.
I I mean, you mentioned it there. Had the chance to get to Vancouver. First of all, was that your first time making your way north of the border? That's the first question.
It was, yep.
So, what was your experience like being in Canada for the first time? And then also, what was your experience like in Vancouver playing with the Canadians? Because we've heard excellent things from basically everyone we've spoken with.
Yeah, Vancouver's a really cool place. Like Canada in general, like cool place, like awesome weather. At least when I got there, other people said it was pretty cold, like in the beginning of the year. But yeah, it's just an awesome place. Like we kind of live on like some sort of campus, but like everything's kind of walking distance or like bus accessible. Like just a pretty good community to be around. In Vancouver, like especially like the stadium there, like they packed that thing out. Like it's awesome to be there. I remember my first time going out there, like my heart was beating so fast. Like I haven't had adrenaline like that in a while. Just having like 6,000 fans just kind of yelling. It's cool to see.
That's awesome for sure. I mean, obviously, for you coming from a Big 12 school, right? I mean, you probably had fairly decent sized crowds at Oklahoma. I mean, what was kind of the comparison there between your time in Vancouver and like pitching in college?
Yeah, Vancouver definitely brought in a lot more. Oh, yeah, we probably get 1,000, 2,000 maybe. And then like depending on where we went, I think we when we played Oklahoma State once, like there was like 10,000 people there, which was insane. But you never know. Like in college, like you could get 500 people one game or like 5,000. It just all kind of depended on the team you're playing or like how the team was doing, especially. But I feel like in Vancouver, like they always showed up. It was anywhere from at least like 3,500 to 5,000 fans each day, no matter what day it was.
That's awesome. It's crazy, crazy for sure. I know, spending a couple days there, just the crowds are awesome.
Oh,
But I do want to kind of go back a little bit further too. Bringing up Oklahoma and your time there. I think you have a very interesting path to pro ball coming from a junior college before going to Oklahoma before signing with the Blue Jays. I kind of want to start with your JUCO experience. Like, do you kind of experience the JUCO bandit mentality a little bit?
definitely my first year JUCO.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. Just like the amount of like working out and stuff we did, and kind of it definitely wasn't like baseball specific workout. Like you're just in there to kind of get after it, and just a bunch of running.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool to be a part of it. Kind of be a part of that grind. That not many. I feel like not many people kind of do these days. Like just intense working out and stuff.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool to be a part of that.
For sure. And I mean, I know while you were there, you guys went to the JUCO World Series, and I think, you were in the final there. What was that experience like? And, how is that kind of compared to the rest of your career being able to play that, for a title like that?
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Especially like same with Vancouver, like those crowds. I think they reach like 10,000 fans. That's pretty cool to see. Like coming from a junior college, like you were getting like 50 to 100 fans a day. Like you're not there to play for anybody. Like
Yeah.
no one's there to watch you. But yeah, it was just a cool experience. A lot of adrenaline. Like it was just kind of surreal, especially like playing against those other JUCOs. Like I guess kind of in our conference, like there were some good teams, but there was definitely like teams that weren't like on the level as us. But everyone there was like insanely good. It was just kind of it was cool to be a part of for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I mean, and obviously for you, going from there to Oklahoma and then signing with the Blue Jays, I kind of wanted to learn a little bit about, what the process was like for you being signed by the Blue Jays in 2023 as an undrafted free agent, and how that all came about with them obviously coming in, showing interest in you. I know you were pitching at the Cape Cod League kind of around the time that happened. So what was that process all like?
Yeah, so when I was at OU, like I had an okay season. Definitely not like how I wanted it to go. But so after that, I went up to a league in New York, and the plan was like you go a couple times here, and then go to Cape Cod like before the draft and like pitch in front of all the scouts.
Right.
Well, I ended up staying like in New York for like 6 to 8 weeks. Like I don't know what happened, but I finally got to go down there to Cape Cod like after what 2 or 3 weeks after the draft, and this was when I was sidearm. Like I
Okay.
was throwing sidearm, and yeah, one of the scouts, Chris Curtis. I don't know. He's the dude who found me. So thank you, Chris. But yeah, he saw me pitch. I had a good game, and he's like, "Well, we're gonna come watch you next game." And I threw next game. Definitely didn't have the type of game I did my first one, but it was good enough to get a call from them, which I was happy about for sure.
That's fantastic. So was it always kind of the Blue Jays, or did any other teams kind of sniff around? Did you get that sense?
So it was mainly just the Blue Jays, but on draft day, I know there was a couple teams like interested in me, like drafting me like day two, but for like really low money. Like I had a price, whatever, like a number, and they just didn't want to offer it. So me and my agent were like, oh, like some team will definitely offer it. No one ended up offering it, and I was like, oh, like this is not good. But thankfully, the Blue Jays came and got me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Obviously, great. Seems to have been like a really good fit so far, and like a great landing spot for you. I got to know, like, I mean, what was your impression of the Blue Jays before signing with them?
Honestly, I don't really know. I'm not a huge like baseball watcher. Like postseason, like I'll watch it, yeah.
Yeah,
But my whole family's like golfing family. Like I'm the only baseball player. So I really didn't know much like about the Blue Jays, but I mean, Chris, the dude who picked me up, he showed me videos of like the facility and everything, and I mean, after seeing that, like it was a total lock.
I mean, kind of, you talk about the facilities. I mean, everybody raves about them. I guess in your words, I mean, what is it like actually getting to be there and use all the fancy toys that they have?
Oh, it's so cool. Like they got so much stuff, like whatever, the weight room, the hot tubs, like game room, all of it. And like I haven't been to any other facilities, but just kind of like looking at them during like spring training when we travel over there, like some of them definitely don't compare at all to the Blue Jay stuff. Even like the fields at the Blue Jays are so nice, and we have that little covered agility area field, which is nice when it rains. Like we don't have to just stay inside. We got that. It's just so nice to have all this stuff available to me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it looks real nice. Neither of us have ever been there, but yeah, obviously the videos are very attractive for sure. So
Yeah.
jealous for sure that you guys get to use that.
This episode of the Bird's Eye View podcast is brought to you by BioSteel. Use code Bird's Eye View at checkout for 20% off your order at biosteel.ca. Again, that's code Bird's Eye View at checkout for 20% off your order. For all your high performance hydration needs, visit biosteel.ca. Thank you again to BioSteel for sponsoring today's episode.
You kind of talk about, maybe not watching a ton of baseball, but I do wonder, like, I mean, if you kind of had like a pinch me moment or a moment that's really stood out as something super cool to you since joining the Blue Jays and starting to pitch in pro ball.
I'd either say there's two moments. There was one time it was the FCL league. We're like playing the Yankees. Like I wasn't even playing. I was just kind of watching. This dude on the Yankees is pitching. He's like 95, 97, like a big Latin kid, like 6'6". I'm like, okay, like that's cool. He walks like three straight. He strikes out the next three batters. He's like 99 to 102. I was like, what if like well, I was like, what are we doing here? This is insane. And then I guess another really cool moment was my first outing in Vancouver. Just being able to be around all those fans, and I was just so pumped up. Like my velo jumped like 3 or 4 miles an hour
Wow.
compared to like where it usually kind of sits, I guess.
For sure, yeah. That's super cool. I mean, obviously, some very like the experience of pro ball. I feel like there's just so many different stories. For you
Yeah.
being in Dunedin last year, I mean, obviously Joey Votto was there and around. Do you have any fun Joey Votto stories or anything that kind of stands out from being around him?
I was in Vancouver by the time
Oh, really?
he
Okay.
went. I wish I got to
Yeah.
see him, but that would have been
Yeah,
cool to play with him.
that's too bad. Yeah, for sure. It's he's, obviously I talked to some of the guys who were there and obviously very cool experience for him.
Carson,
Um,
I wanted to ask you very quickly. You mentioned that you kind of come from a golf family. So I want to hear about your golf game a little bit.
Um, it it's okay. Like it's there. I get some moments. I have some moments, but I swear if I get like 1 or 2 weeks on the range, just kind of get the swing going, like I could shoot like mid 80s, like nothing like
Okay. Okay. He
insane,
knows
but
what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
yeah. Well, one thing is just my drive. It's just straight slicing all the time.
Uh,
Putting's iffy. I really don't care about putting. But
uh,
I'm kind of like mad. I can't play golf right now because the elbow. Like they're not letting us
yeah.
play golf.
Is that going to be
Maybe
your first kind of, I mean, obviously you'll be throwing and stuff, but once you're back to able to kind of take it easy, is that going to be one of the first things on the bucket list?
I might have to, especially when I'm home. I don't know. I'm kind of excited to get out there, swing a club.
For
have
sure.
you did you hit it all kind of growing up or in college or anything?
Only in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. After that, I was like, I'm done. Like
What was,
they were throwing like 83, 84. And I was like, these guys are blowing it by me. Like, this is insane.
what was if you had to describe yourself as a hitter, what would that profile look like?
I don't even know. Like, I'm gonna be honest.
PO hacks.
It, barely even hacked, dude. Like, I swear I was watching it most of the time. Then when I knew it was two strikes, I was like, well, now I have to swing. Like, but I was more a defensive player, I think. First
What
baseman.
your first baseman? Yeah.
Yeah.
Always been a big pitcher guy, hey.
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. I guess kind of going along with the golf game. I mean, what else do you kind of enjoy doing away from the field and in your spare time?
I mean, mainly just like golfing. I mean, I'll play video games here and there, like hang out with buddies, but I don't really do much. Like honestly, there's not a whole bunch to do in Oklahoma. Like I feel like hunting and fishing and stuff, but I'm not a big hunter. Like I've never been hunting. I kind of want to try it, but I'm not part of a family that does that.
Right. I think the Blue Jays have like kind of on the major league roster they have a bunch of guys who are big into hunting.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Uh,
I've seen a couple things around, but
Yeah.
yeah, super cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool if I could go out there with one of them.
Have you kind of had like any relationships with any of the big leaguers or gotten to, uh ask them any questions or anything like that?
Not too much. I mean, when Romano was here, like he was in rehab with us, and me and my roommate, we'd kind of chat with him a little bit, just about random stuff. But it's cool. They're just one of the guys. Like
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, like it's kind of weird to see though. You're like, oh, this is like some big name, like superstar, whatever. But then at the end of the day, they're just a regular guy, and it's kind of cool to see.
That's awesome. I'd be curious because you mentioned it a little bit just about kind of growing up in Oklahoma, what that was like. And obviously, there's no MLB team there. And you kind of mentioned a passive relationship maybe nowadays, but growing up, did you cheer for anyone in particular? Did you have any particular love affairs with baseball that are particularly memorable?
I mean, for baseball, I guess my main team was kind of just the Rangers. Like that's the closest team to us, but that was kind of the yeah, that's the main like baseball team. I mean, we went to go see the OKC Dodgers, or I think they're the Comets now, the affiliate of the Dodgers. Yeah. I
Do
went
you
down there to see a few games, but yeah, that's about it.
do you have any recollection of the 2015 series between the Rangers and the Blue Jays?
I do not. I probably was barely watching baseball, to be honest.
That's good. There
Oh,
was a big Rangers rival or Rangers Blue Jays rivalry from that. So glad we don't have any recollection of that one.
Yeah.
We just got one more for you. Thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. I guess kind of, looking forward here. Obviously, you're working rehab, getting back from that. What is kind of your goal, for once you do get back onto a mound and hopefully, look towards 2026, as a professional?
I mean, definitely like stuff I want to work on. Definitely like pitches and stuff. Like, yeah, everyone wants to do that. That's cool. But I feel like one of the main things is just like getting kind of that mentality back. I feel like that's the biggest part when it comes for coming off an injury this long. But I guess another big thing is definitely like make it to double A, maybe even sneak into triple A. That'd be really cool. I mean, definitely I'm hoping like 1 year at a time, just kind of build and build and build. But yeah, those are kind of the two things, just kind of being able to get back into that rhythm and kind of keep moving up.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, once again, yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it. Great to chat, and best of luck with everything this year. We'll be following and rooting for you as you kind of come back and get back onto the mound, and we will definitely be following your journey over the next few years.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course, anytime. That is Carson Pierce, a right-handed pitching prospect with the Blue Jays. And that is going to do it for us here today at the Bird's Eye View podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons if you're watching on YouTube. You can find us there at the Bird's Eye View pod. If you're listening along on the podcast provider of your choice, make sure to drop a follow and review. You can follow us all on Twitter. I'm at Worden_Zach. Jori is at Jori Negin-Shecter. And the pod is at BEV_pod. Thank you so much for listening.